My name is Rosemary Blash, and this is Daystar Rising Academy. I'm the director of Daystar Rising Academy, and I am just thrilled to spend a little bit of time with you this evening. Can you believe it's August? It's the first week of August, first Wednesday, and I usually come to you on 8 o'clock on the first Wednesday. Just wanted to share some words of encouragement, some things the Lord's been sharing with me. I am a believer of the Lord. I am also an educator, and I come with a heart. My husband and I have been both called to the Family and Education Mountain, and a part of the reason that we come to you on these Facebook Lives is just to be a blessing, to be encouragement, and this is actually being recorded prior to 8 o'clock. But it's an opportunity just to share some things that I believe the Lord would have us to look at. Part of what I like to share is some things for parents to be aware of as their children are going to school. I sometimes share information about homeschool ideas or supports. And this is a very interesting season that we're in and that we've been through. And we've seen some things, particularly in our education system, that need to be changed. But before we dive in, I just want to say a quick word of prayer. So, Father God, we just thank you for this opportunity to come before you and to be a blessing to those um, that are uh, listening. And we ask, Father, I ask that you would just allow my words to be a source of encouragement, comfort, of direction, and I just kind of privileged to be a um, part of your ministry, to be used of you, in Jesus' name. So one of the things that the Lord, I think I'm coming on a little bit early, but that's all right. That the Lord's been sharing with me, or we've been talking about, is this idea of beauty. And beauty is um, something that, for a while, I thought, well, maybe that's just a subjective thing. Maybe that's something that is, one person thinks something is beautiful, other person thinks something is not beautiful, which I do believe there's a realm and aspect of that. We do like certain things. Some of us don't like certain things. We have our favorite colors, we have our favorite foods, that type of thing. But when it comes to beauty and we're thinking about the things of the Lord, I think there is, and I feel like the Lord is pointing us to look at some standards, some things that are true, that are not movable, that are not malleable, that are um, um, objective rather than subjective. The problem with things being subjective is that the definitions can change, the things can change. Um, you know, things do change naturally. Things progress. Fashion changes, but even in some of those changes, there are certain standards that I think that are important to really pay attention to. Sometimes people will put forth things that they say is beautiful and wonderful, and it's not. So I've been kind of talking to the Lord about that, reading some things about that. There is a thought that makes sense to me, and I invite you to put in your comments and let me know if you agree or disagree or what your thoughts are about this. But um, I was reading a particular author, and he was saying that if we lose the idea of there being a standard when it comes to beauty, we might lose, and maybe we are losing, the idea that there is a standard when it comes to truth and goodness. And I think that I think that's true. I think there is a danger. I don't think that it would be totally lost, because there are things that I believe the Lord has established when it comes to truth, when it comes to goodness, when it comes to beauty, that are standards that do not change. Um, a lot of times, being an educator, I have seen a lot. I've seen trends come, I've seen them go, I've seen them come back again. And that can be a little bit frustrating, a little disconcerting, because there is a way to teach that I think is the best, that is optimal, that can help a child learn the best and become creative. The same with beauty. There are things that are beautiful and things sometimes that are put out as beautiful or as art that really are not art, um, that are not, they don't have the foundation of godliness, purity, holiness, morality, those things which are godly ideas. Um, and again, you may disagree. So share your thoughts. But and I'm just taking a look at my notes, and this is something that I'm working through, that I'm talking to the Lord about. So I definitely don't have. I will not say that I've landed on where He would have me to be yet, because we're still having the conversation. But I do believe that there is. Um, it's worthy of putting forth the effort to understand what beauty is. One of the things that kind of struck me recently was I, I was, in fact, in a worship service just recently, and the Lord was kind of showing me something about a phrase that I had heard that actually Yvonne Hicks had used some time ago, probably on either one of her Facebook Lives or maybe Kingdom Conversations, but it was something talking about, referring to how women in particular, but men and women, as we age, um, there comes, what should happen is, as we mature, there comes a revelation of who we are, the beauty of what the Lord has done in our lives, maybe healing situations, strengthening us in different things, and as we come to that and we walk in that, there is a level of beauty. I'm finding myself looking at men and women that are older than I am, and sort of really receiving and perceiving their wisdom, maybe to a greater degree than I did than I was younger. I did have definitely reverence, so to speak, a level of respect for my grandmother, both grandmothers. I didn't know either one of my grandfathers. They both passed before I was able to meet them. But just at being in their presence and getting to know them, there was definitely, I knew to be respectful. I knew, that was important, and it was honoring, and even more so now, as I'm getting older, I can appreciate women that are older than I am, and the beauty that they carry, because it's in the physical, it's in the strength that I see, it's in the wisdom that they carry and that they share, and even the laughter, even just their very essence. There are things that I'm able to appreciate more. So it's probably my maturity allowing me to appreciate someone else's, and I think that's important. And it was a put in the context of the trees as they turn, as the leaves turn color. There are those trees that are evergreens, and there are those trees that do change color, and the leaves fall in the fall. But when you are in the spring and the summer, you see different shades of beautiful greens, and the leaves are dancing in the breeze, all of their beautiful shades of green. And as we progress into the fall, we see those colors change. And that's really a revealing, as those leaves, as those trees get older, the colors are actually being revealed. The greens sort of fade away, and we see beautiful browns and deep reds and yellows. And the fall, if you're looking at maybe in the mountains, and you're looking at the landscape of those trees, and you see the richness. Some of the reds are so bright and they're so fiery, and and then there are the dark reds. They're just beautiful, beautiful colors, and that's the way the Lord was kind of showing me that as I yield, as I die to myself, and allow Him to mature me, grow me up in certain areas, correct things, then the beauty of that maturity comes out. And it beautifies, if you look at the trees, it beautifies the whole area. It's a very, very different look than the summertime. And both of those are equally beautiful, and they're important. They tell us things, they give us guidance, they tell us time is passing and different things can happen during those different seasons, and something to be embraced in each one of those um, seasons. So I'm also a Charlotte Mason fan, and I was thinking about how she talked about living books, and how the living books really they add a depth of experience for our children. When a child is reading a living book, they're reading a book that is going to enliven the imagination, and those living books are engaging. It's very easy to be drawn into that book, to that story, and allow yourself to be taken to that land or that time, and go through whatever adventures you're reading about at the time. I mean, that to me is an aspect of beauty when it comes to education, because children grow from that. There is real learning of different qualities, like different characteristics as they are growing, and they're learning about loyalty or perseverance or courage. When they're watching those characters, maybe they're fighting for something, fighting for something that's worthy to be fought for, and how they fight, and fighting in a manner that's honorable. So all of those things are really um, beautiful when it comes to educating our children. And if you're more math minded, you definitely, even if you're not, I mean, if you think about some of the shapes that we see, there's math behind different shapes, or different, even colors, because there's a frequency. So there's math attached to that. So there's beauty in a lot of different aspects of our lives. I mentioned, just even how food tasted, or even viewed. The presentation is often a big part of, when you go and you enjoy a wonderful meal. Presentation is very important. Some of the reason I believe that the Lord is really highlighting being able to distinguish what is beautiful and what is not is because I believe it allows us to get a fuller sense of what is good and what is evil. So being real clear on being able to define or understand beauty and those things that are not beautiful. I won't try to define it in every area, but I will say this. I had a very interesting experience where there was I'll say a Christmas program that was written probably just a couple of years ago. Um, and with all of those types of things, you get the advertisement, you get the excitement, and we were my family. We love Christmas. We're very big on looking at and watching. That's sort of a tradition. Watching some of the old Christmas type movies, and just kind of wallowing in that season of love and giving and Christmas and redemption. So, and there are things that are not necessarily overtly Christian, but they're still wonderful stories, quality stories, and some of those, are older. Not necessarily all of them, but some of them are older. We tend to, we have our little tradition of watching a number of the older Christmas movies. So this particular um, movie, it's a musical, had a lot of the elements that some of the older ones do. And so if I were to describe it, I would say, it's a musical, had great music, fun music. It definitely had a story, a clear, storyline and plot. But as my family was watching, we kind of all experienced the same thing without realizing it, because as we're watching, we're not, we're enjoying the movie. And then we kind of came away from that experience feeling a little bit empty, because it didn't feed us like some of the other movies that we had enjoyed. And I think there's something to that. Um, and I don't exactly, couldn't tell you exactly why. I would probably have to do a little more research, probably in the foundation and the background of how this particular musical was created. But there is something to be said, I believe, in looking at the foundation. Those foundations do impact what comes from it. It's like the seed that is sown. Um, that seed, that from the beginnings, really determine a lot of what we see as that plant, that person grows, what they're, how they're nurtured, how they're molded, what goes in will manifest as they grow. I firmly believe it's the same for literature and for different forms of art. The foundation is going to make a big difference in terms of what we see happening. Um, as it matures and as it grows, there is fruit, and there is you're going to see what kind of fruit, what that plant really is, and what's in that plant as a result of looking at the fruit, partaking of the fruit. And sometimes things can look beautiful, but when you bite into that fruit, it can be very bitter, it can be very unpleasant, it can leave you empty, unnourished. And I really believe that a lot of that is connected. Um, the Lord is, you know, He created the heavens and the earth. He created everything. So when we look at different things, I believe there are different manifestations or characteristics of the Lord that we see. And if the foundation isn't of the Lord, we're going to see those. It's going to become evident, and it's important to, I think, make note of that and decide what we're going to yield to or be exposed to or take in. When it comes to music, when it comes to art, when it comes to what we're watching on television, how we're spending our time, all of those things. Um, One of the scriptures out of the Psalms, Psalm 96, verse 6: Splendor and majesty are before him. Sorry. Strength and beauty are his in his nature. I'm going to just have to go back and look at that and just correct that for you. But the idea being that he's beautiful. And one of the things that the Lord was really talking to me was about um, his beauty and how captivating that is. And I really was asking the Lord, well, what is it? We call Jesus, we think about Jesus as being beautiful. And it goes far beyond just the aesthetics. I remember looking at my children when they were born, and there's a beauty that you behold. I'm a new grandparent, by the way, so that's fun to say, because it's the same thing. When I look into my grandson's face and his eyes, there's a beauty just because of who he is, and there's a beauty because I see my mom, I see my husband's mom, I see my his mom, and my son. I see all of that in this new little person, and it's amazing. It's awe-inspiring. It is captivating. All those things, and that's beautiful. So it goes. It's an aesthetic thing. It pleases the eye, but it also touches the emotion, and I think that's why beauty is so important, because it can and does touch the emotion. It just draws you in, and it makes you really go to a place of awe and amazement and joy, and words that I can't even articulate. But that's why beauty is important, and understanding and knowing what is beautiful and what may be initially seem beautiful, but when we look more deeply, we see that there's a place where, well, no, that isn't. That isn't of the Lord. That isn't beautiful. So I'm going to be on this journey, I'm sure, for a while, and I invite you to come along with me and definitely share with me what your thoughts are. I am excited to see what the Lord does and how He will kind of clarify things for us in terms of beauty. Um, the word talks about how the Lord makes beauty from ashes, from those things that are maybe not beautiful that we've experienced, but when we yield to Him, and again, so the idea of dying to self, beauty comes forth and is um, it impacts the atmosphere. So thank you so much for spending some time with me today and exploring the idea of beauty. I do want you to come and visit. Uh, 8 o'clock on Wednesdays, the second and the fourth Wednesday of the month. My husband Kevin Blash is on his page at 8 o'clock, and he brings a Father's Heart to you. Some of those beautiful ideas, some of the words that are correcting that the Lord has given to him. So definitely go visit at 8 o'clock on the second and fourth Wednesday of the month. And Yvonne Hicks with This Is That, Making It Plain. If you go to that Facebook page, This Is That, Making It Plain, you're going to hear wonderful God stories, words of encouragement, testimony that will encourage you, enlighten you, and challenge you. So thank you once again. Please leave comments, questions. We definitely are um, open and excited about being a blessing to you. So if you have a prayer request, you can definitely leave that or a question. Please feel free. And thank you once again just for sharing, spending some time with me. God bless you.